Hit record and welcome. I'm so happy to have you all here today. This is as I mentioned, this is going to be a presentation building on a presentation I gave live last week to a group known as the Women of Willow Grove in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. And today we're going to go into that a little deeper into what we discussed, which was really 3 ways to get more value, more benefit from your social media. So let's go to there. There is a chat box here. If you have questions, you can, put your questions in the chat, and let's dive in. And I really am glad that you're here. This is great. This is my first time doing a live webinar. I mean, I've done recorded ones, but this is my first time doing a live one. So it's always nice to get people on here and have it all work together. But this is 3 ways to rock your social media for more fun and profit. As you all know, social media is so important in your marketing efforts in today's world, right? Because it's really all about, it's a communication tool, and it's a way to get to know people, and it's a way to build your relationships. Because a lot of you I know go to networking events. I know I've done my own fair share of real life networking events. And those are great, but if you don't people in the between events, sometimes it's hard to get to know them. So that's why you want to have those one-on-ones and even just telephone calls, to get to know someone better if they live far away and you can't really get together in real life. But social media is a terrific way to do that too. So I always recommend focusing on one tool. If you want to focus, you want to really grow your business with social. If you focus on one tool at a time, you're going to have a lot more success. Because I find that people get themselves very overwhelmed by signing up for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and then they're trying to make a post on every one of them, which they usually do make one post on each of them, and then they kind of abandon all of them because they don't really have a plan in place. They don't have a strategy in mind. They don't really know what their business purpose is behind doing this. And if you're in too many places, it just dilutes your efforts. I mean, unless you have a large team to help you, it's just too much for a small team, a 1, 2, 3 person business. It's just not going to be able to manage all of these tools. So you want to pick, choose one platform. So Facebook, I know all of you have can get more business from Facebook. That's the place where I spend most of my time in terms of social media. And then LinkedIn is another big one that I use a lot. But there are other tools are coming out. So you kind of have to ask yourself, are your prospects there? Which I would say, yes, they're certainly on Facebook. But you can do a search. And I'll give you a quick example of how to do that search. I won't be able to do that. Okay. So can everyone see my Facebook? So if you wanted to search, say, nutrition, you could go and search and see what comes up for you in the search bar. You actually don't have to use a hashtag. You could.
I'm not seeing anything.
You're not seeing anything. Okay.
What are we searching for?
We're just searching on Facebook, using Facebook to search a topic.
Oh.
That's not working though? No one can see anything?
No.
Okay. All right, then we won't do that. But Facebook has a search bar, and you can find all kinds of groups there, as well as people's pages and other people who are using specific terms. So if you have a particular kind of term that you're interested in knowing more about, then you would just put that into the search bar, and that'll show you all kinds of information. But I'm not gonna be able to do that because it's not working. Sorry about that. Okay. And also, ask yourself if you're comfortable using it, because that's a big one. Sometimes I find that people, that your audience can be in a particular area, but you don't really know how to use the tool that well. Like, for example, Twitter. A lot of people, I've been on Twitter for a long time, like 2007. And but I still meet people who don't use Twitter or are really not comfortable with it. So if you're not going to use it, then that's not the tool to focus on, right? Excuse me. So you really want to be comfortable with the mechanics of it, as well as getting yourself squared away with the kinds of content that you're going to be putting on there to be building your audience. So there's kind of like it's like a two-parter of knowing what you're doing with it, both from the mechanics viewpoint, you know, on your phone, on the computer, because they work differently there, and you know what you're going to put on it, what you're going to say, and help that's going to guide you. I'll talk a bit more about content in a moment. So I've really just covered that, you know, the difference between understanding the mechanics of the tool and then how to use it for your business. So if you already have an audience in one place, like you've already been using Facebook for a long time, for example, that makes sense to focus your efforts there, and then you can grow from there. People already are familiar with you, they already know you. And if you go to a new, entirely different platform, you're going to be developing a whole new audience. So it just takes a little bit, it takes longer. When you first get started, you might feel a little, where is everybody? Because, you know, it's just a feeling that people have a lot is, where's my audience? Especially when they're just getting started and they're not really comfortable with putting themselves out there yet. So just stick with it and you'll build an audience. The other thing is that consistency piece. So being really consistent, and you know, if you can decide you're going to post 2 or 3 times a day, for example, but if you post 2 or 3 times a day for, say, 3 days, and then you don't go back for a week and a half, that's not really very consistent. You're better off making, you know, splitting those posts up across that week and a half. You really want to show up daily in every case, and maybe you're not actually making a post, but if you're responding and commenting on other things, that's going to be really great. It's going to be helpful. It's going to help people start building that trust factor because you're showing up and you're not just sort of coming in and then leaving again. If that makes sense. So developing some sort of a plan, you know, and I'm a big fan of scheduling it, you know, looking at your calendar, building yourself in, whatever time frame works best for you. Maybe it's a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes in the afternoon, but just make that your time that you're going to go dive into your Facebook, for example, and don't get swayed by looking at everybody's baby pictures. You want to be remembering you're doing this for work purposes. So you're going in there and you're, you know, creating some kind of a post that's related about your business, or you're interacting and doing networking with other potential clients and customers and potential referrals. Looking at what other people are doing in your industry is always good. You know, your competition, so to speak. Go and look at what they're doing, what kinds of posts are they making, what seems to be resonating with the audience, and, you know, spending some time kind of paying attention to that and being aware of that is really going to help you in the longer term. Because what you're ultimately wanting to do is have a plan around this, you know, a strategy. So knowing your purpose, you know, looking at the posts of others, you don't want to just show up and you have that, what I call Facebook freeze, where you don't know what you're going to post. You know, you plan that out in advance, and we'll talk more about content in a minute, but paying attention to what other people are doing, what you like about their posts, what you don't like about their posts, what you think is good, how can you adapt some of it maybe for your particular audience or your industry. I mean, you know, there's lots of information. So think the personal, informational, and promotional. These are so very important because you don't want to be the promotional, right? No one wants to do that. You want to be putting out personal information. You know, you want to have a mix. You want to have a blend. So if you think of it, I like to call it the PIP because it's like you can think of them in a line: personal, informational, and promotional, and you can kind of mix them up. But as long as you're kind of balancing them out, that's going to be a good thing. So your personal posts could be pets, family, vacation, office desk pictures, fun activities. You know, what kind of smoothie are you having today? I don't know why, but smoothie questions get a lot of responses. You know, so it's, you know, thinking about things that you can share that are comfortable with you, for you, and you know, you just share them because it makes you human. And the whole social media is about human, right? And so we end up doing business with people that we like, that we know, and that we trust. And so therefore, you want to be showing that human side, that human element. You're not going to always be sales. And, you know, anybody who's comfortable going into a networking function can transfer that online. It works really well. It's really all about getting to know people. The informational piece for anyone would be, I call it the 5 by 5. whereas coming up with 5 questions that people ask you the most. What are the 5 questions people ask you the most? I've actually been doing this week in a group I'm in on Facebook, and it's been very interesting what some of the questions are about writing, particularly persuasive writing. And that is, and so I have this whole series now that I'm starting because of these questions, this conversation we're having in this Facebook group about, what I asked the question, what would you want to ask a copywriter? And then I got all these great questions. How do you how do you know how to write for the voice or the tone? Or is it different for every client? What do I need to look for in hiring a writer? Like all those kinds of things. That they're great questions. I've never answered them, I don't think, in a blog form. So that I could do that now, and then I can share those on social media. And you can do the same thing, because in every industry that you're in, you have questions. I mean, people they have questions about whatever it is you do. And what I like to do is ask. I'd like to go and ask people, hey, what's your questions about X? I know Adrienne's on here, she's an organizer. What are your questions about organizing? Adrienne, you probably have lots and lots of questions that you get asked all the time. So each of those can be social media posts. And you also probably have the questions that that people don't ask that you wish they did, and that's something else. You can also turn those into social media posts. So that's the 5 by 5. And of course, the promotional posts are like coupons, invitations, direct work with me kinds of things. I mean, that's pretty general, and you've all seen those. And they can work with mix of, sometimes it's better to create an ad strategy around them. Depends on what it is, really. But you can certainly just put them out onto onto social media, onto Facebook, for example, and then go with that. And in all of your posts, your headlines matter. Your pictures, videos matter. Calls to action where you're asking people to do something, such as, please comment below. That's a call to action. Asking people to click this and, go someplace else, that's a call to action. It's a good idea to share your posts at multiple times, just because, someone may not see it in the morning. You don't want to share them at the same time. You want to show, like, you might make the post in the morning, you might make the post in the afternoon, 2 days later, and you might make the post a week later at night. If you have a post that's like informational, right, like a tip, like here's a top 1 tip for hiring an organizer, for example, then that's going to be a post that's going to be informational, a blend of informational and promotional, but you can post that multiple times. And that's something that, I find a lot of people don't really think about doing, is creating content that they can use over and over again. In the journalism field, there's something called evergreen content, which is the stories like, because it's coming up on the spring, summer here, like a cooking magazine would have salads for the summer, and planting magazines or gardening magazines talk about different plants and your outdoor terrace gardens and things like that in the summertime. And then in the winter, they have a whole different series of articles, right? So if you think of your own, if you have a business that's has a seasonal relation to it, you have certain things that are worth talking about in the spring, summer, other ones you talk about in the fall and winter. And if you're using, and some of those you can repurpose, so that you're going to be able to use that same post today, and you're going to be able to use it again in a month or 3 months, or maybe even next year. So if you think about it in that way, that can make life a lot easier. And maybe you just make a few changes if you want to, but it doesn't have to be done. And you end up creating like this entire board, if you will, almost, or schedule for yourself that you can reuse, repurpose. It's going to make it a lot easier. Since we do have a small group, or if there are any questions, just feel free to ask here. And I'm going to talk out of this. To be successful, you really want to pick that one tool that you're going to use consistently, and keep in mind the three tips: the promotional, personal, and informational. and then use them, put them into practice. And of course, you want to have patience. I mean, because nothing happens overnight, right? But invite people to your website and invite them to come and sign up for your email list from time to time. You want to be using, social media is a great tool to meet people and say hello and introduce yourself. And then it's great to bring them back to your website as well. If you have something to offer to get them on your list, that's a really good way to go, because then you start building that relationship even more. And that's a very strategic move. I'm just going to see if I can check the chat here. No. Okay. All right. So no questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. So you can create a calendar for yourself. And this is what I do. I have set a day. I like to say where it's going, what the copy is, any images that are going with it, and I'm not as, and then I usually will write down something like, number of likes or shares or what have you. When I work with clients creating content for them, then I set this all up ahead of time so that they can look at it, and if they have any suggestions to make or anything they want to add, then they can do that. But having it laid out like this keeps you on track, and it gives you a place where you can then go back and see what you posted a year ago, and you can reuse it if it makes sense. It also, if you're blogging, Mal and I were speaking about blogging briefly at the start of this. If you're blogging, you're able to take that blog post. You want to save the link someplace. Yes, it's going to be online, but I find putting them in a spreadsheet or a form like this is very useful, because then you can just kind of go grab that link again without having to search for it. This is, you can make this yourself with table, like using table in Word, or you can use a spreadsheet if you're a spreadsheet kind of a person. It's really up to you. It's a very simple process, but powerful, because it's easy to make a table, and really the work comes into building the content on it. But if you do that, you're going to find your life a lot easier. And so I put together, I did this a while ago, actually, a few months ago, put together this 90 days of content program that I developed. And it's, a series of videos and a handout, and, it's all about creating content for yourself. And I want to hear from you all, like, where you get stuck with creating content. Like, do you get stuck, or are you really comfortable with it? Anyone?
I haven't started yet, so I can't really say.
Okay. Okay.
I just blog personally right now, and I'm just at the start of trying to figure out how to use social media or developing a website for my business, which, well, I'm trying to do a couple different things, one of which is my editing, proofreading, copywriting business, but also I'm looking to start a website on bad back gardening, because right now my back is killing me and has been very bad for the past 7 or 8 years. And I was directing my girls to do all the gardening because I haven't developed a bad back garden yet. So I'm interested in developing a website that would have maybe some affiliate marketing on it, maybe some a blog. And I really don't know. I'm never short of things to write about gardening when I'm gardening, and I've been keeping another blog. My bad back made me do it, blogger.com, because I'm writing about my bad back and what I'm learning about. I'm going through a book that's teaching, about physiology and everything like that. And it's kind of fun. And I'm building in personal stuff because, like you said, you want it to be entertaining. You want it to be personal. But at this point, I'm just trying to inform people about their bad back. So I don't have any trouble finding content because I talk a lot. My issue is really trying to figure out how to build what is my best social media. Blogging is easy for me. Facebook is a pain in the neck because you do get all this other stuff, but it might be a good place. I know nothing about the others, Twitter and all those things that my kids do, like the Instagram and the Snapchat and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think my audience would be there. So the question is how to develop for my writing business and how to develop for my Bad Back website, Bad Back Gardening website, which is right, and how to build an audience. Those are my issues.
Okay. Marilyn and I were speaking briefly. She's also looking to do blogging. She's also looking to get more into blogging. And one of the things, so like you're really talking about kind of two separate audiences.
Yes.
Bad Back Gardening and then developing client list for your writing are two different audiences. Facebook is a great place for gardening, and if you wanted to think about starting a Facebook group around Bad Back Gardening, that would be a really powerful way to build an audience.
Awesome.
There's so much value right now on in Facebook groups. It's amazing. So much value. And I know Marla, you had a question. Let me see. And Jeanette, yes, Hootsuite. Hootsuite's very, very good. You can use Hootsuite.
Okay. Thanks.
And Marla's saying she has someone in the office doing Facebook for you, for the office, and trying to learn more to see what you can contribute to it. Other than Facebook, I don't know the type of social media tools. Well, there are a lot of other social media tools, but if you have someone in your office and you're focusing on Facebook, without seeing your Facebook, it's hard to make any recommendations for what you're currently doing. But I find that most businesses benefit from, doing 1 to 2 posts a day on their Facebook pages. Solopreneurs often use their personal pages. I use a mix of my business page and my personal page. And that's, because you get more reach, you get more visibility with your personal page. And also as a person, you can join groups, the Facebook groups that I mentioned earlier, but you're not able to do that when you are a business page. You can only join, a person can join a group, but a business page cannot join a group. That's, how Facebook has it set up. So that's something to keep in mind.
Jen?
Mm-hmm.
This is Adrienne.
Hi, Adrienne.
Hi. I have been blogging, well, it started out as a newsletter back in 2004. And a couple of years ago when I redid my website and rebranded, it turned into a official posts.
Okay.
And I've been doing this once a month at least since then, and I just have ideas that come from my head. I call it my Timely Tips blog posts.
Okay.
I just try to see what's going on at the time that I send it out and create a post around it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only repeated one.
Okay.
And that's because I like to write. So to me, it's a little creative outlet. My question is, when you were talking earlier about where you find your prospects, how do you do that? How do you know where they're hanging out on social media? Well,
you're an organizer. You definitely have lots of prospects hanging out on Facebook. The Facebook demographic, is a lot of women, and it's primarily that 30 to 70-year-old range, which is obviously a broad range, but that's kind of the big picture of the Facebook demographic. And it's almost half and half men and women though these days. But but that's going to be your best bet. And in terms of finding them, I'm sure you remember the Doylestown Facebook page. There are lots of other local pages, but there's probably, I don't know if there would be kind of a local organizing group, but there's like a Central Bucks women, girlfriends or something. I mean, there's at least 2 that are women-oriented groups on Facebook. I think that WOW has a page, the Women of Willow Grove, I think they have a page. Any of those are opportunities that you would be, that you could go in and meet people and network. Which you don't want to go into and say, hey, I'm an organizer, come hire me. that's, you want to be there providing value and showing up and answering questions for other people and, being a valuable member of the community. And then when it's appropriate, you can say, hey, I'm an organizer, I can help you with that. It's a delicate balance, and I find that for myself, I mean, if you join a new group, every group has their own rules. So if you kind of look at what the rules are, and some of them are like, we have promotional Tuesday, post your links to your blogs there on Tuesdays or to your webpage. And then others are like, we're a promotion-free zone. You may not do any promotion at all. So it's all dependent on, because they're all individually run, so they're all independent on whoever started it and what they feel like they want to do. They're also, that accounts for the mixed quality of Facebook groups. They're not all great, so you have to look at them and see what you think. But I mean, I would say stepping into some of those groups, and and you can search in the box at the top on Facebook. And I tried to show you earlier, but it's not letting me do that. You can put in like organizing. You can put in Bucks County organizing or Montgomery County organizing, and see what kinds of things you get. And I might have a video on how to do that. I'm not sure. And if I don't, I can make one.
And what about for men? What would you suggest there? Because a good percentage of my clients are men.
Well, they're also on Facebook.
Do you recommend LinkedIn?
No, I recommend you focus on Facebook.
Facebook only?
Right now. Focus on Facebook. I mean, if you want to go on LinkedIn and make a post once in a while, but you want to put the bulk of your energy into Facebook, because that's where your audience is hanging around. And that's where they're most likely to be thinking of, people go to Facebook to look at, to connect with their friends and their family, and they're often at home or thinking about home. So LinkedIn is a very businessy, very business environment, and they're not necessarily looking for an organizer there.
Well, I work with businesses
Jen,
too. That's why I asked.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said I work with businesses too. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you can create a strategy around that, and that can be very useful to you. However, I see too many people splitting their time and not really making a lot of progress because you're doing too many different things.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think you're right.
Yeah, so like pick one for 3 months, and then when you're really comfortable with it and feel like you're kind of making some progress there, then you can add on. You
Okay.
don't want to stop doing the first one. You want to,
Yeah. Okay,
Jen,
thanks.
Jen, can I ask you about what you just said? Let's use the example of organizing. When you put in Bucks County organizing, does that search for anybody who's mentioned organizing or organizing groups? And again, you've got a lot of people who never talk about organizing but need organizing. So how do you deal with those?
Right. Yes, that's a great point. Yeah, it does. It picks up on the term organizing. You're going to see groups. You'll see pages. You'll see individual posts that are public that say organizing.
Okay. But let's say,
Okay, Jen, I have a
I'm sorry, and then I'll be quiet. Let's say, how do you find people who are looking for organizing who don't mention the word organizing? I'm just picking up on that. Like for me, it would be writing or or something like that.
So that's getting into those groups and getting known, becoming known. And again, I don't recommend going and joining 15 groups and then going in once in a while. You're gonna have to pick a couple and then show up on like daily basis because it's just getting to be known like anything else. So once they get to know you and they know what you do, then you have a better opportunity for someone to recommend you or the questions that come up. I get, I know I'm in a group with a writing group on Facebook, and work comes out of that group for different people because they're a known entity of that community.
Okay.
Or kind of familiar with them. Even though the entire group is writers, certain people stand out more because they're frequently there.
Okay, great.
Hey, Jen, I have a question about the Facebook page that you were talking about. Like, I have a Facebook page, but if I do that instead of the blog, then would I be identified in that, or would it be anonymous?
I'm sorry, so if you did a Facebook page?
Yeah,
I
have a Facebook, I have a Facebook account.
Yeah.
But if I was going to have something that is more of a blog type Facebook thing, then if I was going to do it anonymously, I mean, would it be linked to the Facebook page I already have?
How would you do it anonymously?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah,
because
you
if
wouldn't.
you do it on Facebook, then you're not anonymous.
Right, you're not anonymous. Exactly.
Okay.
On Facebook, you're not anonymous. There's no way to do that anonymously. Do anything
Okay.
anonymously. Can't speak unless you change your name. So, well, I want to be mindful of the time. I kept it, I said this would be 30 minutes, and we're almost there. So I think this was fun. I hope you all got value out of this. I'm actually going to be doing on a totally different platform. In a week or so, I'm going to be doing a Blab. Blab is a platform where it's video chat. You can have 4 people on there live, but you can have an unlimited number of people comment. And I'm going to be doing a co-hosted one with Paula Gregoria. Some of you may know her, Paula G. And that's going to be fun. And I can send you the dates on that because I'm not sure exactly when it is now. But please feel free to send me more, just send me your questions. This is a great fodder for, and I do Facebook Live videos periodically, which is videos right there within the Facebook feed. And I'm always looking for opportunities to answer more questions that I can take there and use them, because it's always good stuff.
Jen, I'm not sure that I'm on your Facebook. What are you under? Just
I'm on my name. I'm under my
what's your
name. Jen,
Okay.
J-E-N, Phillips, April.
Okay. All right, good.
Okay?
So we'll see what you're doing and we'll learn from what you do.
Yes.
Right.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today.
Okay.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.